Hey, Bill's in the house. How you doing, Bill? I thought I'd come on for a bit. I'm going to be doing a podcast with Peyton tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. So you guys want to be part of that? I think it's 7 o'clock our time, which is 9 o'clock your time. Hey, NHL Reports. How you doing, buddy? Just so you know, that's what I'll be doing. We'll be doing a podcast. You saw the dance. Woo! uh, First order of business we probably want to get into is Bill Wirtz's. Oh, what did I think of your Weber? I guess if he was a forward, I don't know. That one's like so hard to say what he would be if he was a forward. Bill Wirtz, like, don't let that guy speak ever again. That was horrible. And I heard that the fans have always not liked Bill Wirtz there. So, and now I know why. That was brutal. That was absolutely brutal. To basically went over. Oh yeah, nobody went over. Yeah, that's and Petrie. It was. It became public after that Petrie was on the trade block. Yeah, I mean, Petrie was like that as an Oiler, and that's the reason why he was traded. Um, they got 2 second-round picks for him, and I remember I was like, oh, they're going to regret that because of what he does on the ice. But he's very whiny. He's a very whiny player, and he's showing his true colors. And now I don't know, his trade value has probably slipped quite a bit because the reason why you would get a guy like Petrie would be, he's supposed to be a leader. He's supposed to be a veteran, but he's not being a leader in Montreal. Like, he looks like he's complaining all the time. It's no heart Bill. Bill was that looked like a guy who was trying to forget that ever happened. And I remember when it happened, I said that there's no way that the Wirtzes didn't know that was happening, and they're just trying to butter it up and get rid of the situation. And look at what he said. We're not talking about that. We're not going into that. And all he had to do is say, these are the things that we're doing to make it so things are different in the future. And he did nothing. He did nothing. Just wait a sec. I can't even do that. Well, he had a good year. When things are going good, it's not bad to have Petrie there. But when things are not going good, it's not good to have Petrie there. And I don't know, like, what if you're in the playoffs and things go south? What's he going to be like? I think his trade value now is pretty low. Well, it wasn't just Petrie, but he was right there, and he basically, I don't know if he saw it or what have you. I have no idea, but yeah, optically it didn't look good. But even before anything like that happened, you looked at like they would show pan shots of Petrie, and he looked like a whiny bee. He looked like he was just a whiny. I can't say it any different than that. Some of the comments he said in the media and everything, and I wouldn't have him on my team. Let's just put it that way. Well, the management did. Let's face it. If there's a team that's not playing for each other, that's it. That team is not playing for each other right now. And it's no wonder that they're doing as poorly as they are. And that was just a really good example of a team that isn't playing for each other. They're not. They don't have each other's backs, and it's sad to watch a team fall that bad from being the finals of the year before. And then, you know, a lot of their team is really young. They don't know what to do in the situations. And then when you got guys like Petrie as your veteran on top of it, oh, yeah. I don't know what to say about Montreal. Like they've got what's his name? They got a lot of work to do. They got to bring in people that are going to fight. And I was trying to work out a video because apparently Van, what's his name from Vancouver there, that guy that they just traded for and signed in the offseason. Garland. Apparently Connor Garland is available, and you know, those are the guys you need there. Maybe they want to look at something like that. They got to bring in some people that are known for having some fight in them. Gallagher even has said just can't. They asked Gallagher about his future with Montreal, and he's been a Warrior his whole career. It must be no more sad than to Gallagher about what's happening there in Montreal. It's got to be really sad to watch, and I'm sure, you know, I don't know what to say. I'm speechless about that team. Yeah, they need to get get a philosophy there, draft by philosophy, and there's some guys. I was just looking at it I was just looking at it. See if I can bring it up here again. They got to look at their drafting philosophy too. They got to look at guys that have a lot of fight in them, that are known for backing up their teammates and build up some pride. I think that's the hardest thing to watch about Montreal right now, is that at the very least they've always had pride, right? And right now they don't look like they have any pride in that team at all. And you know, when they know Ben Sherrod is gone, you take Weber out, you take Perry out. Gallagher looks like a shell of his old self. And then you got, you know, Suzuki getting beat up there as a number one center. And there's no pride anymore. It looks like they've completely given up. Cooley, is projected kind of number one right now. He's a smaller center. Yeah, Wright has had a little problems coming back from all this COVID and stuff like that. If the Blues, I think a first will do it for Sherrod. Maybe a little more. It depends how many people I've heard Florida, New York Rangers, St. Louis Blues, probably the Toronto Maple Leafs. So if you've got those four in there, what's his I was looking at Brock Nelson before we got on there about him possibly being out, but I'll go back to does he have a no trade clause at all? His contract isn't horrible. I know that. Ben Sherrod, he's 30, 3.5 million, and he's got a 10-team no trade list. Now, that being said, I'm pretty sure he's going to be fairly motivated to move out of Montreal right now. I think just about everybody is motivated to get out of Montreal right now. Hey, Brian, how you doing, my friend? Hey, Mark Brown. Nice. Thanks for coming in. Oh, good. That's the fellow that couldn't chat. His live chat is now working. Awesome. Good to hear. Yeah, they need Hart there. So the question though is, what would Sherratt, if Sherratt were to go to St. Louis, which does seem like it could be a fit there. 3.5 million. Let's look at St. Louis. Maybe they can find somebody with some heart in St. Louis. They would be happy to be there. Uh, I love Oscar Sundquist, but I don't know if they'd be willing to give him up. Right now, I would say he's a left defenseman. I wonder how happy they are with Mikkola. Maybe Mikko Mikkola in a first? I don't know anything about the character of Mikko Mikkola. It looks like he's a pretty tough guy. Mikko Mikkola in a first. I had Edmonton to beat Washington last night, believe it or not. I had Edmonton and the over. Samsonov is just about like he had a weird game against Pittsburgh where he stopped pucks, but he didn't look good doing it. And then in Edmonton, he went back to where he was before that. Samsonov has completely lost his confidence. They got like 3 goals and 5 shots or something like that, and he looked terrible. If it wasn't for that, I don't know if Edmonton does win that game. Washington did have some pushback, and as soon as they put Copley in, things settled down quite a bit. But look for Samsonov to be on the block. Washington's going to be looking for a goaltender almost for sure. I think Chicago's phone is pretty hot right now about Marc-Andre Fleury going to Washington. It makes total sense. I don't know if he would want to go there, but if it were me, why not? Why wouldn't Marc-Andre Fleury want to go to Washington, really? It gives him a really good opportunity to win a cup. They desperately need a goaltender. They might even sign him for a year or two to help Vanacek out. And Samsonov can go the other way with a package of some kind to give Chicago something in return. And maybe they can, settle Samsonov down. Like if you watch Samsonov play, he's like if he's overreacting to pucks that are gonna miss the net. He's doing weird stuff. His head is totally out of it, I would say. Yeah, I don't know what the Oilers are going to do because short of Marc-Andre Fleury, I don't see anything out there that's gonna move the needle enough for that to matter there. Oh, okay. How do I subscribe from here? I'll definitely want to subscribe. So it's called Brian Sports Entertainment. Let me look it up right now. I didn't know you got your stream thing going yet. Brian, is that what it's called? Brian Sports Entertainment? By the way, also, Hockey News Reports has a great channel. Sub up to him. I haven't. Honestly, I don't even watch Peyton stuff. When you're a creator, it's pretty hard to do. Sports Entertainment. Just look you up here and get subbed up, my friend. Broadcasting Brian Sports Entertainment. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Broadcasting Brian Sports Entertainment? Nah, I'm not. I'm doing Ricket Picks. Talk about all the people that you should sub to. Ricket Picks. Sub up to Ricket as well. I'm doing UFC stuff for a while. I'm going to start adding that in probably, actually, Rick. John from Ricketts Picks. So is that it? I don't know if you can see that. Broadcasting Brian Sports and Entertainment. Is that what it is? Sports and Entertainment. Okay, yeah. So I'm subscribed now, buddy. I'm subbed up. Let me hear it.
Cat offense from Jacksonville. This is a good formula for a good.
You're a sports anchor and a reporter? Wow. That'll be interesting. You got to have me on. You got to have me on sometime, buddy. Maybe you can be part of the Steel Flyers crew. You have to go through Steel for that, but send the link in the chat there, Sport. No, I didn't see the game last night. I went to bed early. But I had Minnesota and Reg all day long on that. There's another team, Chicago. All of that, it looked like they were moving forward, and then Bill Wirtz did what he did. There is no way that Fleury is going to be staying in that organization. I'll tell you that right now. There's no way. No way Fleury's going to be staying in that organization. I'll check it out. But there's no way Fleury's staying in Chicago. I'm pretty sure he's going to be open to a trade just about anywhere right now. After Bill Wirtz's actions yesterday, and the team is in disarray. It's Montreal and Chicago. There's two teams that really don't have the heart right now. Chicago probably should even have more of an excuse not to than Montreal, but I think that just will take the steam right out of them. What happened last night? Their loss to Minnesota showed that their pride in their team is not there, and the organization is not there. That team is in big trouble right now. Oh, you sent it to me. Okay. Okay, I'll take a look at it here. I can't turn it sideways. Yeah. Also what you see there is Chicago just having a complete lapse, but Fleury's pissed. But that team is playing with, like, they are just in sync right now. They are in total sync right now. Yeah, that's a pretty beautiful play. Let me take another look at it there. Jeez. It's a beautiful play, but man, Chicago did nothing on that play. Like, they practically just handed the puck and just said, "There, go ahead, score." And Fleury afterwards is just livid. I don't think that looked like he was mad because he didn't stop that. There's no way he's going to stop that. He's mad because they just left him out to dry completely. And it probably was over and over again last night. Philly? No, I think Washington, Rick. I think Washington is all over that phone for Fleury right now. I think Washington is like gung ho for getting Fleury right now, for sure. That would be my pick. Washington. You're gonna have to wrestle. You're gonna have to wrestle with Washington to get Fleury. If Fleury will waive his no trade to go there, that is. But when you look at it right now, you got Edmonton, Washington, possibly Colorado. No, it's possible that Fleury won't waive to go all the way to Canada. He's going to move his whole family to Canada. There's a whole bunch of reasons why that probably wouldn't work for him. For so many different reasons. You got to change everything over. Just like changing your driver's license and all kinds of stuff. I don't. It's cold. What about Trotz? You think Trotz? Are we going down the Trotz is going to get fired thing again? I don't think so. Well, like yeah, and who else? I mean, I just did a Fleury traded video, where he may go, and Washington seemed like the most likely one to be. Pittsburgh, I mean, but actually, Jari hasn't looked good. Jari's been a bit shaky. I wouldn't count out Pittsburgh yet. Pittsburgh is looking to win now as well, and do I see your big comment? Oh yeah, out for dinner and drinks every night. Yeah, they'll do whatever they have to do to get that. Cooper is nothing like Bednar though. As in the type of coach he is. Like right now, I don't know. Yeah, they are different types of coaches for sure. The other big comment. If you were a head coach to any team generally, I know you would. Who's on your team? But besides that, what type of coaching style do you use? I would not use Barry Trotz's coaching style. I would Cooper. The thing about Cooper, I have a hard time with, is he. I don't know. I don't know if it's Cooper or the players they have. They play down to their competition too much. Colorado can do that too. It's hard to say what is Bednar's coaching style. Like he just has such a stacked group there that let's put it this way. I would do Barry Trotz's team building coaching style probably. He's a guy who builds a family, a team family, and I would say I would do his type of coaching style for that. As far as Cooper is concerned, like I said, I'm just concerned like he can't get his team to play down to their competition. The team plays down to the competition too much. He has been pretty laid back, but lately he's been much more forceful. Bednar, I like Bednar in that he seems to be a really good motivator. But honestly, if I had any coach, I would say Sullivan. Sullivan would be the coaching style that I would go with. It's not overly defensive, or Brindamore. Yeah, Brindamore would be up there for sure. Yeah, Brindamore or Sullivan. Yeah, Brindamore's coaching style is very positive. He knows how to use words that are not deflating to people, and he's very honest with the what the team is, but he's also always in belief. If you watch Brindamore, he's always in belief of his players and his team. And he seems to be able to motivate people to play certain roles. He seems to know what's the best role for each player. It's pretty fantastic. Yeah, no Ovi. Oh, for the All-Star game, yeah. Is he not? I don't even know who's on. Did they put that out there? Who's on for the hardest shot? I honestly, I'm not even sure like who's going and who's not going right now. McDavid will be the fastest skater with Barzal, and Barzal's going, right? Hardest shot? I don't know who. Is Pulak going? Hardest shot players. Pelech. Okay, Pelech I meant to say. Meyer. Hedman will probably win that, I guess. Samsonov has been terrible all year. Samsonov has been horrible all year long. Oh, Pro Hockey Rumors just announced it. I could just look it up. I got Pro Hockey Rumors. So let's take a look at it. So fastest skater. Fastest skater, you got Kreider, Kempe, Connor, Kuznetsov, Kyrou, Larkin. Oh, so you don't even have Barzal. McDavid should win that all day. It'll be interesting to see what Makar will do in that. He's pretty sweet. Kempe is super fast. Connor's fast, yeah. Save streak. Oh, they got a save streak. Vasilevsky, Jari. Jari's going to the All-Star game. Isn't that interesting? Demko, Gibson probably. I still say Gibson is what is so underrated. I would think that I would go as far as to say that Gibson could get the Vezina this year if they make the playoffs. He's been everything for that team. But it's probably going to be Shesterkin because he's been everything for them too. Fountain face-off? Oh, they have a fountain face-off now? Okay, I don't know what that's all about. Hedman and Wilson. And then breakaway challenge. Goalies, Manon Reume and Wyatt Roussel. Wow. Zegras is going to be insane for that. Geez, I might even watch this. McDavid wins probably, yeah. Las Vegas NHL 2001 and 22. What is that? Accuracy shooting. Aho Dahlin. Rasmus Dahlin. Keller, Draisaitl. Gotta be Draisaitl's freaking shot is just stupid, but so is Clayton Keller. Clayton Keller's shot is insane. Troy Terry. Oh, they throw Bergeron in there. Oh, look at that. We were just talking about cash for two new events, Face Off and 2021 and 22 will be held outside in the Bellagio Fountain. And the winners will win $30,000. So they're giving out cash for winners for some of them now. They're starting to make it, give it some, and you watch, man, give it a couple years, maybe not even that long. And the All-Star game will be no more. The skills competition is where it's going to be all about. So another thing I wanted to talk about was the Islanders season is done, right? After last night's game, the Islanders are done, right? How do you lose to Seattle in that spot? They had nothing. They had no legs at all last night. It was brutal to watch. Brutal to watch. Seattle had. I mean, they had nothing to play for. There's no pressure on them. But the Islanders looked like they just didn't have any legs. To me, they really had to have that game. They had to have that game, and they couldn't find enough gumption in them to beat a Seattle team that is not really that great. It's been terrible on the road. It's been terrible on the road, and it was boring. It was a boring game. On the other side of it, you had somebody like a team like LA, who was playing Detroit, and they're fighting for a playoff spot. They're in a playoff spot, and they fought hard last night. They played really well. I just so happened to pick them to make the playoffs, and I think that they're just going to keep on rolling, that team. Might not even the best thing for them to make the playoffs this year, but they showed some heart. And I don't think the Islanders don't have heart. I just think that they're sacked. Like they're done. They can't wait till this season's over. They get a long rest and give it another shot, because it's not too often you see a team be that tired on the ice. Like they just look absolutely gassed. And I don't know, they'll get a short break here and come back and give it a shot. But I think they need a long break. They need some guys probably to get some surgeries. There's probably guys that are playing really hurt and busted up right now, and just don't have it in them at all. I really thought that when they beat Ottawa, they could have enough momentum to at least get over that game, because you got the break coming up. You just throw it all out there, beat the Seattle team, get some rest, and who knows. But I even think that morally, everything, that game was very defeating and really was a sign of the things to come for the New York Islanders. I don't see a run coming up here. Some of the Canes went to Florida for vacation. Okay. Good for them. Have a little fun in Florida. There's going to be a lot of teams really liking this vacation here now. Maybe Philadelphia might go on a little bit of a run. They had 2 wins going into the break. We'll see if Yo has really built that. That's going to be interesting to see if they get a couple people back. Mike Yo has historically shown he can be a really good motivator. And maybe it's just taking him some time to build up the confidence in that team. And but I mean, I don't think they can make the playoffs, but yeah. Island Solo should be cast. Yeah, they're an old team that have gone through several playoff runs to the semis. There was just that short break, and they don't have all that much depth in their organization, so autocorrect is the worst thing. I don't know. Sometimes with my spelling, it might be the best because the word that would have went out was a lot worse than the word that they put out. But I think they're done. And this is going to be interesting going in after the All-Star break because in the Eastern Conference, there's going to be a lot of, like Pittsburgh, for instance, they lost they lost their last 4 games. And Pittsburgh's a team that really just tries to make the playoffs. They're not too worried about who they got to play in the first round or anything like that. Because those guys, they've been around long enough to know that you're going to have to beat that team no matter what. So, in fact, sometimes if you're actually going to win a cup, and that's what Pittsburgh cares about, it doesn't matter to them if they lose in the first round, second round, or whatever. You lose, you lose, you lose. Sometimes it's better to get the best team out of the way right away. So if Pittsburgh has to play Tampa or Florida in the first round, and they can take that team out, then, the next team that they play may be a team that they can handle a little better. Although, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really matter. You're going to have to beat the best team probably anyways, no matter what. So, like, let's say we're to go right now. Checking out the standings here. Well, no, they're not on a 10-game winning streak because they lost to Arizona. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous. I had team total under. They had 34 seconds. If they could have stopped Arizona for the last 34 seconds, I would have had the team total under. But they got all nervous because of the streak and ended up losing that game. So right now they would play the New York Rangers, but let's say they fall. They would play the New York Rangers. But even if they fall out and got to play Carolina, does it really matter? You're gonna end up having to play one of those teams anyways. Carolina, like that division, any series is going to be tough. How many points do they have? 62. They could still get first. So what I'm saying is watch out for that because you're going to have a lot of Western teams going out to do the Eastern road trip, and they're going to be in a playoff hunt. And these guys are like, trying, but there's that extra oomph when you don't know if you're going to make it or not. And I think you'll see a lot of Western teams beating the Eastern teams because of that. JT Miller going to Boston. There's going to be a lot of people vying for JT Miller. I think especially like the Rangers, if they think he's going to Boston, they're going to have their hat in there at least to make it as expensive for them as possible. I heard Minnesota, but that doesn't really make much sense to me. I was thinking that might be my next trade video, but I just did one for Giroux. I think Giroux makes a little more sense because he has no term. He's kind of a rental. I don't know if they want to put that much term on a player that they're going to be trading for. Well, I think they're going to have to look for a rental if they look for anybody. I've heard them in on Miller, but if they're in on Miller, Fiala is probably not going to be re-signed, which could be it right there. But they got that young kid Rossi coming up now, and if they got Miller for the next 4 or 5 years, it could get expensive for them. And then Miller would have to play the wing, which is okay, I guess. He's a pretty darn good winger. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be in the game. And the other thing is I'm not sure Minnesota wants to give up a whole bunch of high-end prospects and picks for a player right now. In the back rooms, if they're looking at their team, I doubt Minnesota looks at themselves as a true contender right now. So Rask will come off the books. They might be able to afford him. Bringing up Minnesota, you got so you got Joel Eriksson Ek, right? Boldy is probably going to remain, and you got Fiala to sign. He's going to be a UFA. You're going to let him go for nothing? Maybe you might have to here. No, he's going to be a restricted free agent, so you can trade him in the offseason. And what do you do with Ryan Hartman? Ryan Hartman has been their heart and soul there for a while. So let's say Rossi can play next year. They just re-signed Greenway. Greenway can go down to the third line. You trade off Fiala. And you put Miller on the wing with Joel Eriksson Ek or something like that. You got Marcus Foligno that's still got to be there. I mean, it's going to be a pretty cramped lineup if they keep them there. I think it's going to be a pretty cramped lineup if they keep Miller in Minnesota. So I'm more leaning to the somebody like Giroux for Minnesota, or something like that. Because if you do get Giroux, you're really just going on a wing and a prayer that everything works out for you, that you can beat Colorado and Minnesota. Colorado, as much as I like Minnesota, their passing and everything that they have, if you really look at their lineup and you really look at it, are they going to beat Vegas, Colorado, Florida, Tampa Bay, or Carolina? I don't see it. Oh, yeah. Thanks for coming in, race fan. Right on. Yeah, like Calgary's playing very well, but even with how well they're playing, are they a contender? No. And they got to sign Giroux at the end of the year, which I do believe they will do. But I still say they got a lot. Now, there's a team that I think will have their hat in for JT Miller. JT Miller makes sense for the Calgary Flames. And when I do my thing, I may, if they're going to keep on building with that team as it is right now, a second line center is imperative right now. Backstrom's not it. So I could see Calgary have their hand in the ring there for JT Miller. They could do something with term there. I think they'll be pretty bullish on a guy like JT Miller. But the problem is he's in Vancouver. Does Vancouver want to trade JT Miller and strengthen the Calgary Flames? If they have an opportunity to trade him to Boston or the New York Rangers or something like that, probably not. Calgary would probably have to pony up a lot for that, when they can basically just wait till the offseason and go after a Trocheck or somebody like that. Yeah, Suter's got them playing pretty hard. But they're still not a contender. They're not a contender. That's the thing. And they're in a pretty precarious spot there. That's why I thought they would be in. They were in on Eichel. And I don't know what they had to give up. But if they are dead set on rolling with these guys that they got, and, trying to be a cup contender, something like that is what they need. A guy like Eichel. I like Lindholm, but is he He's not a true number one. They're probably a superstar away from being a real contender. Defense, they have some good pieces, but they don't have anybody that you would say a true number one defenseman. Markstrom, we'll have to see what he can do in the playoffs. Right now, I say they're mostly a bubble team and a one round or 2 and out team, which is not where you want to be. Yeah, they have goalies in their system, and they have a couple players in their system, but they're not super deep in their system either. Connor Zari's doing okay. They're not super deep in their system either. They're one of those teams that just never figured out whether they were going to rebuild, or become good. So they're pretty much a bubble, one round and 2 are out. I don't think they're anywhere near being able to compete with the Colorados of the world. And Winnipeg is sort of in that spot too. And then, of course, the Edmonton Oilers, which should be way better than they are, but we won't get too far into that. But most of the Canadian... Niederreiter, Trocheck, yeah, and they'll be out there looking for other players to replace them. Niederreiter, they don't need to worry about. That pretty much just Jarvis pretty much covers that spot. Cole and Martinook, they're gonna need to get a better 5-6 spot. But I got a lot of faith in Carolina what they can do. And there's another team I had in for possibly JT Miller or Giroux. Smith will be gone. That's no loss. And they got some young players coming up that I'm sure they want to give a good shot to. So they, Drury there probably will get a good shot next year. Nikinen, is that his name? Maybe he gets a shot next year. So Carolina is in a good spot where they've got a fairly good amount of prospects to take over those spots. And then if they're not ready, they can fill holes. That's where you want to be. We were just talking about Calgary. Calgary doesn't have that. Calgary doesn't have players that are banging on the door to come up to take spots. So, yeah, Nikishin, right? Is that his name? He's looking like he probably will get a pretty good shot next year. He's putting up some good numbers in the K. And, maybe Suzuki will try to get a 4th line spot next year. But they got some young players there they're in a good spot. If I was building a team let's say if Calgary Flames, if I was the general manager of the Calgary Flames, as good as they're doing, I'm rebuilding that team. I'm not re-signing Gaudreau. I'm trading Gaudreau. I wouldn't have went out and got Coleman. I would have started doing a pretty serious rebuild there to get as many young players as possible. Maybe not a tear down rebuild. There are some good pieces there, but Backstrom, he's just not, for me, going to do it. He's just not a 2nd line center. I don't know how much value there is with him in his contract. But I don't see a team there that, even if you were to add an Eichel, is that team going to win a cup? I don't see it. I don't see Calgary beating Minnesota in a playoff round. Like, you look at the teams that they could play in the playoffs, if they do make the playoffs. See, right now they got they're barely holding on to a playoff spot. what if they play St. Louis? So right now they would play Vegas. That would be a disaster. They could probably beat Los Angeles and Anaheim. I doubt they beat Nashville. I doubt they beat Minnesota. Maybe Nashville, maybe, but not likely. I would give it to Nashville. Yeah, build the team around Markstrom and Matthew Tkachuk, assuming Matthew Tkachuk is willing to sign there long term. And that contract's going to be insane, but because he's already making a ton. So, but yeah, I would say build them around those two. Trade off Gaudreau, Backstrom. Maybe keep Lindholm. Get as many young players as possible. Add some free agents that are good. Good for building young players. Get some draft picks the next 2 years and give her another shot. But you got to look. I think as a general manager, as a team, you really got to look at the reality of where you are as an organization with the pieces you have. And right now, there's a litmus test. I call them I like to call them litmus test teams in Colorado, Vegas, Carolina. Those teams are way deeper than Calgary. They have way more talent in their top end. Calgary's defense is nothing compared to Colorado. They're not even close. They're not even close to being a contender, I would say. They are hard to play against, and through the regular season, they're good enough that they can be in the spot they're in, a bubble team. But try to put that team up against the top players in the league for a 7-game series. I don't see them. I just can't see that team making it. Pretenders. Nashville Predators. I mean, I love their game. I love what they're doing. They, if there's a team that could catch lightning in a bottle, get some bounces, and end up, doing what Montreal did, I would say Nashville is probably it. But but on paper, they're not there. They're getting a lot out of a pretty average roster there. Someone else to help Roman Josi besides Ekholm. So another top 2 defenseman, true number 1 center. I mean, those are a lot of pieces away to have a chance against the McKinnons and even the Pittsburgh Penguins. As much as I love their game, in a 7-game series, it's going to be nip and tuck for them to be able to make it through all that they have to make it through. I wonder if really behind closed doors they're looking at it going, man, as much as it's going to be very difficult to do, we gotta retool here. We gotta rebuild, because I mean, they're getting a lot out of defense that really, on paper, shouldn't be as good as they are. Letang's not getting any younger. He's going to be looking for another contract. Maybe you can get Malkin, Letang, and Crosby, or Malkin and Letang to do some sweetheart deals and add another player there. Short of acquiring a guy like Fleury, as much as Jari's having a great year, I don't see it. And Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals. the Washington Capitals as well. Like, if you're going to be a team like that, I would be going after Fleury. If I'm the Pittsburgh Penguins, Washington Capitals, or somebody like that, the sort of a bubble team, I'm going Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury has shown that he can take a maybe just above average team to the finals. An older team like that that's just on the brink of a rebuild, I'm going for Marc-Andre Fleury. Colorado with Kemper, that was a nice acquisition. He has taken his time to adjust, but he's looked better lately. If Kemper can get to where he was in Arizona again, and, Tampa has Vasilevsky. Florida, a lot of people have them as their cup favorites. I question whether they can play that playoff type game that you need to win. What they get away with in the regular season, playing that high tempo, aggressive offensive game, I love it. But we saw what happened last year with Tampa. They pooched out. It is very difficult to play the game that they play through a 7-game series against a really strong team like I don't think. And then what are you going to get from Bobrovsky? Do any of you have faith that Bobrovsky is going to be that stud goaltender that gets you to a cup final? I don't. He's played better, but I don't see it. Spencer Knight, never tried it before. And then again, and then you have the Boston Bruins, who I imagine are, like you mentioned, going to be like going after JT Miller and stuff like that. But even if they do that, I still don't put them in the same category as some of these other teams. Then the Carolina Hurricane, they really need that experience, but you don't get that experience until you go into it. That's why I really, really, really like the prospect of them getting Giroux. Giroux is the kind of guy that can help them get over those exhausted humps that the playoffs bring, and rally the troops, be a real warrior leader to get them to where they are. He knows how to bring a level-headed, not too high, not too low energy to a team. They don't really need offense, but it probably wouldn't hurt. And since Trocheck is going to be gone anyways, they could still re-sign him again. But I would like to see somebody like that for Carolina. However, with Brind'Amour there, he has a tendency to be a guy that's almost that guy, even though he's not on the ice. I love the way Anderson is. I think Anderson's a playoff goaltender if given the opportunity. Carolina, and not only that, the way they play that hybrid game, they can play it any way you like. Fix that 5-6, which isn't too difficult. They've got a lot of, they have prospects, they have picks, they have a possibility to get a really solid guy for that 5-6 spot, and get somebody like Giroux. And I think they got a chance. I think they got more of a chance in Florida, to tell you the honest truth. I would take, and Lauren said yesterday that I undervalue Carolina players. I don't undervalue them. I don't. You were talking about trading somebody for Chychrun, though. Holy crap. That's going to take a pretty package. Well, I think they were worried about the injury thing. And remember, we were talking about it in the beginning of the year. I was too. But obviously, Carolina had a pretty good read on his injury issues. And I get the feeling that Anderson kind of just didn't want to be in Toronto anymore. Especially when you consider that he went to Carolina. That is a totally different environment than being in Toronto. that is a totally different environment than being in Toronto. I mean, you don't have the media stuff, and you can say what you want. That wears on a player over time, especially a goaltender. So he gets to go to Carolina, where you're not, dealing with all the media every day and all that kind of stuff like that as much. You kind of get to have a personal life, and you can focus back on your game again. And he certainly has the talent and the ability to be a really. I'll take him over Markstrom. I don't know if I wouldn't probably take him over Vasilevsky or Shesterkin, but he's good enough for the system that he's in to be a good enough goaltender to take him to the promised land. I think it was a great, and ended up being a fantastic pickup. You would like to have who? Is that Roussel? Oh, Roussel. Yeah, I mean, if he can stay healthy, I guess he's a good face-off guy. He's a good face-off guy for those big face-offs that you need. I'm not like, as far as face-off guys are concerned, like for every face-off is not that big of a deal, but there's certain ones. Like when you're on the power play, and you're down a goal, and you need to win that face-off. Then a guy like Roussel is a guy you can have on your fourth line and put him in there, and then get him off the ice or something like that on a big penalty kill, stuff like that. But I mean, I wouldn't put too much. I wouldn't pay too much for him. Oh yeah, he's definitely a top 10 goalie. Jeez, Anderson. I mean, would Anderson or Lehner? Right now, I would take Anderson. Anderson or Hellebuck, I would take Anderson. I wouldn't take him over Demko. I wouldn't take him over Fleury. I would take him over anything Washington's got, Dallas has got. Carter Hart's not ready yet, so yeah, I would take him over Carter Hart right now. For the now, I would take him over Campbell. Funny thing. Certainly Bobrovsky. Kemper, the way he is right now, yeah, but I mean at his top, maybe the same. I would take him over most. I'd take him over Allmark, Sorokin at the moment, Talbot. Yeah, definitely top 10. Maybe even top 5. Grubauer. Saros, maybe. Saros. Murray. Yeah, I'd say top 5. I'd say top 5 goalie in the league. Tell me what you guys think. Who isn't Anderson a top 5 right now? Yeah, Jarrett Stoll was a great face-off guy. So was Malhotra. Remember Malhotra? He was up there as one of the best face-off guys of all time. Going further back, a guy that Yandel just beat his record, Doug Jarvis, was insane. Mark Messier was an amazing face-off guy. You don't hear about the face-off guy much anymore. The big face-off guys. A lot of them are the best players in the game. Bergeron. Bergeron is insane. Bergeron is an incredible face-off guy. Datsuk used to be amazing. If he was a 6'4" goaltender, yeah, he would be without a doubt the best goaltender in the league, I would have to say. Yeah. He would be insane. It's amazing what he gets out of that body. Like his angle play is unbelievable. Oh, I forgot Gibson. I would take Gibson over Anderson. I would take Gibson over Anderson. I would take Shesterkin over Anderson. I would take Vasilevsky over Anderson. So there's 3. 1, 2, 3. 3. Fleury over Anderson, but close because I don't know how much he can hold up. But at the top of his game, yeah, I would take Fleury over Anderson. Am I missing anybody? I would put him 5. I forgot about Gibson. Gibson, I would definitely take over Anderson. Gibson, Shesterkin, Demko. Yeah. Yeah, Demko. If Demko was in, yeah, Demko. So he's 6. Saros, I would take. Saros and Anderson is close, man. Really close. So I put him like 6 or 7, somewhere around there. We haven't seen what Saros can do. We haven't seen what Saros can do in the playoffs yet, but we sort of have. Yeah, maybe Saros 6 or 7 in the league. So yeah, he's definitely top 10 for sure. Not top 5 though. You're right. And then you got like Markstroms and Jaris, and I don't even know where to put all of those. Binningtons. I wouldn't put him up there. Kemper. Sorokin eventually. I mean, he's pretty amazing. Watch out for Murray now. I think Murray's going to have a resurgence in Ottawa. When they put him down to the minors there, it looks like something clicked with him. No, yeah, I gotta put Gibson over Anderson and Shesterkin over Anderson. Yeah, like from the Rangers got it all together later on in the year. Gallant got them rolling and working as a unit. But while that was happening, they were winning games because of Shesterkin. It was pretty much all about Shesterkin. And the Ducks, if you put Anderson in Anaheim, which I think he was originally from, wasn't he? No. They probably don't make the playoffs this year. Why is Askarov going down a bad path now? Because I was worried about that. Is he having a tough time now in the K? Nashville. Oh my gosh. Oh no, he's still kicking ass there. 1.81 and a 0.91. Oh, 0.913 isn't that great. He must be on a really good team. What do you know about Askarov now? Well, he's not a liar. He thought he was pretty amazing. I thought so too, but and he still could be, but I saw problems with attitude with him, and that could be the difficult thing. Sort of like Jordan Binnington as well. I'll take a goaltender in the first round if it's Spencer Knight. Like when Spencer Knight was there, I'll take a goaltender like Spencer Knight in the first round. Like it's a gamble worth taking. I know people have different, especially like the analytics community. They don't agree with me on that because goaltenders are the easiest to find, but upper echelon top goaltenders are not the easiest to find. Guys that can win you a cup with an average team are not easy to find. So, especially if I'm set up in my other areas of my on my team. I'll take a flyer on a goaltender. Stevie Eisenman's one of the smartest in the game, and he took Kosa, which I don't. How's he doing now, Kosa? Sebastian Kosa. Isn't he in Europe or something? No, he's in junior. 2.27 and a .918. Okay. Not as good as the year before. Not stupendous numbers, but I don't know how the Oil Kings are doing overall right now. I should really pay attention to junior more. Yeah, well, he's certainly and you know what? He's getting beat out by Huso, and he doesn't look like his pushback. It doesn't look like he's handling the situation well. That he is getting beat out by Huso, and that's been the problem with Binnington is ever since the beginning. He's arrogant, and the thing about being arrogant is usually arrogance comes from an insecurity. And when push comes to shove, unless you're like Patrick Waugh, arrogance can be a huge problem to the psyche of any player, but especially a goaltender. And when they get pushed or things go the wrong direction, they have a tendency to do stupid things on the ice, and they have a tendency to go through spells of being not playing well. He's been good, but he hasn't been great. And Huso has most certainly been better, except for his last outing wasn't that great. But for the most part, yeah. Second time Yzerman stole a goalie from Holland. What was the other time? He stole a goalie from Edmonton? What am I missing there? I'm going to kick myself when you tell me, but for some reason it's not coming to my mind. What was the other goalie? Yeah, I don't think Craig Button's a dirty liar, but... Oh, right. He was in Tampa Bay when he was a manager. All right. Yeah, you got it. Maybe we'll see what Costa turns out like. His numbers aren't bad in junior. They're not as good as they were the year before, but I don't think the Edmonton Ice are as good as they were the year before either. What's their record right now? Even if I look at their record, and I should know because I live in Edmonton. WHL standings. Oh, they're first. Oh my gosh, they're 26-4-3. Wow. That's crazy. Who do they got on their team? Simon Kubicek. I don't know where he's from. Holy crap. They got a defense. Is that a defenseman? They got a defenseman in. They got Caden Goulet, who's got 10. He's only got 10 points. Simon Kubicek. That can't be right. That is got to be like. How do they have all their defensemen have more goals than they do assists? What? They got Dylan Gunther. Those look like gaming stats. Every player has more goals than they do assists. Am I on some sort of gaming site or something? Flash score, WHL 20. Sports Pro. Let me check that out. Oh yeah, 26, 10, and 4. That's more like it. That must have been some sort of gaming site or something. But I can't click on the Edmonton Oil Kings. I don't know. They're doing really well, but his numbers are not stellar, but they might be playing a highly offensive game or something like that. Scouch is amazing. I got to watch more of his stuff. I hear a lot of good stuff about him. Yeah, I listen to. I just watch them. But I haven't been watching enough junior lately because I've been doing capping instead. Oh, really? It's minus 20 degrees Celsius here. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's darn cold. It's like it's minus something Fahrenheit. But tomorrow it's supposed to get up into the pluses, so that'll be good. No new news. Well, I think that's all I have for today. Can't think of anything else I want to talk about. Oh, you're back. Okay. What's minus 18 Fahrenheit? Oh, really? I could stay longer for a while. I kind of ran out of content, though. We talked about all the major issues. No, not an hour or two. I'm going to be doing a show tonight at 7 o'clock Mountain, which will be 9 o'clock Eastern. But I don't know if he's doing it interactive or not. But I'm going to be doing it with Peyton on the radio. And it's going to be an Oilers thing. Straight Oilers. He said he was going to send me. He said he was going to send me a lineup of what. Oh, shoot. Rangers to get Susie. Okay. That makes sense, I guess. some better. It depends on what they want to do with Schneider. I think Schneider's been playing pretty well up there, but they may want to have him get a little more seasoning before he goes into a playoff. So I think there's going to be a lot of people buying for Soucy, though. Soucy's the type of guy that I could see Toronto looking at Soucy. Think about that. Toronto is looking for that kind of defensive defenseman type guy. I would love to see Edmonton get Soucy. Peyton thinks Soucy's like Kukuk, but I think he's better than Kukuk. But there's a lot of teams that will want to get Soucy. I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of teams that are going to want to give up a first for Soucy, but I think he'll get a second round pick. Florida maybe if they pan. I think Florida's going to go bigger than Soucy probably. Tampa Bay for depth may look at a guy like Soucy. Like just about any team that is a contender would probably be looking at somebody like Soucy. But the Rangers may be a team that would be willing to give up a second for him because they're lower. Carolina could look at a guy like Soucy. He would be an upgrade to their 5-6. It wouldn't cost them as much as like some of the other players that they may be going for. No, he's not playing hardly anything in Cholowski. He's just borderline. Washington for Soucy, there's a good one. All of those guys will be in. If anybody decides to pony up a first, they'll get him. I just don't see a team. Maybe I doubt a team ponying up or giving up a first. But I mean, Soucy probably on face value shouldn't get a first, but there is a lot of value for a guy like Soucy in the playoffs. I mean, teams don't want to get people get injured in the playoffs, and having a guy like Soucy who can get in there or play in your 5-6, he also he brings the pain, and that is a big value in the playoffs, right? So I don't. I can't see why anybody would want Risto. That's a tough spot. He's making a lot of money. You're going to have to give him a qualifying offer. Maybe, actually, if they get him as a rental and not qualify him and try to work out a deal. So maybe, yeah, he's still big. He still has value. To me, he's like a Gudbranson. A way overpaid Gudbranson. So, I mean, but he's big, he hits, he can fill a spot. It would be really difficult with what you're going to get back and how the money would work for that because he takes up a lot of cap space. I would honestly take a Soucy before I would take Risto. I think teams will have to use their imagination there. To get I think the Philadelphia will have to take a player back that a team doesn't think they're going to get use out of in the playoffs. That has a higher contract that maybe they would just let go too, and then get a pick on top of it. I think that's what would have to happen there. What's Risto? Ristolainen. I do think they'll definitely be trying to trade him away though. I would hope so. Unless they got a deal worked out where they give him a contract but the rest of the years are lower and you know, it puts him in the $3.5 million range. And if that's the case, Philadelphia may just keep him. Ristolainen. 6'4", 220. Like, he's a big dude. He can be all over the place on the ice, though. My gosh, still with Philadelphia. And he's making how much? 5.5. They're going to have to sign him, and you got to give him a qualifying offer about 6.5. So he should be a free agent his next year, too. If he's willing to take a contract where, okay, we'll give you a qualifying offer, and then we'll give you like 2 years at $2.5 million or something like that. But I doubt he'll do that. He'll probably say, no, I'm not signing anything. I'll test the market and see what I can get. And there just might be a general manager out there silly enough to give him $4.5 million or something for however many years. So his agent talks to a bunch of teams and they come up with the team. I don't know who that team would be. I honestly don't know who that team would be that would pay him like $4.5 million for the next couple of years. Maybe Nashville, because Nashville is just so darn good at getting at defensemen. They're great at teaching defensemen how to be better defensemen. They do it all the time. I would possibly a team like Nashville might take them also for the playoff run. Then, then work out a deal with them. Say a 2-year deal that brings us, and then say, we'll see what you look like after that. And if I'm him, another team would be, like LA would be a team, is a really good team at getting the best. That's what I'm trying to say. Getting the best out of defensemen. So maybe LA. I'd say LA or Nashville. If they think they can turn him around and get him playing a simple type game, because it's so enticing to see a 6'4", 220-pound defenseman. If you can get him playing a good, solid two-way game like he was meant to have when he started in Buffalo, you got something you don't find every day there. So I would say maybe Nashville or LA may take a stab at something like that. And then they get to see him every day, see what his attitude is like, see what his personality is like, see if he's getting his mind around when to pinch, when not to pinch, how to get the most out of his game. I mean, he's got a huge shot. He can skate. He's big, but he doesn't know where to be on the ice so often. And I don't know if Philadelphia thinks they can get that out of him. They gave up a crap load for him. They're not going to get that back for him. So they put themselves in a pretty precarious spot. I didn't like the move when they did it, and I still don't like it now. Because the only way it was going to work is if Ristolainen changed his game like really, really fast. And I thought it was just highly unlikely that a guy who was put in it had gone that far into his development was going to be able to change his stripes in like a matter of a couple months or in a season. Coyotes, yeah, there's a good one. The Coyotes could take a flyer on that. That's a really good one. Because he worked with Ghost, and Ghost has been the best he's been for a long time in Arizona. Now he wouldn't have talked to Risto; they didn't know each other, but they could get Gosh Despear to give Risto a call and say, "Hey, how would you like to go to a team that Risto was in Philadelphia? How would you like to go to a team that worked really well for me? They changed my game quite a bit. They helped me become a better player. And they do got to hit the cap floor no matter what you say." So, yeah, Arizona is really good. A really good one, I think. Yeah, maybe they could give him a shot. They do need a big defenseman. They do need to get bigger on their D line. So, it's possible. You guys just gave me a good video to do tomorrow. I think I'll do that. I think I'll do Where Does Risto Go? There's a lot of talking points on Ristolainen. Besides that, Ottawa. I think Ottawa's going to kind of wait for their young defensemen to build up and go with them. They got Sanderson coming up. They got Docker coming up. They got Lassie Thompson coming up, who looks like he's improving every time they bring him up. So I would say that's less likely, and they're not ones to spend a lot of money. Detroit certainly could use some defensemen there. But really, it's going to come down to a team that thinks, I can get the best out of this guy. I really think we can get the best out of this guy. We have the time to do it. But when it comes right down to it, honestly, I think Philadelphia is going to try to roll with them. I don't know if that's the best move, but they're so heavily invested now, it's almost like it would look terrible if it didn't work out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Armstrong has done amazing work there in Arizona for sure. Like, they got 3 or 4 firsts and seconds, and that's the way you do it. Ole Mattis had the best career he's had. He's had best year he's had since he was in Pittsburgh for sure. And there's a good example of, LA taking a guy and getting his game back. So look what they did for Forbert. Look what they did for their whole lineup. Like, all of those guys in other organizations, Anderson, Roy, there's probably a lot of organizations out there that would not have developed those guys to what they are right now. LA is absolutely phenomenal at developing defensemen. One of the best, maybe if not, them in Nashville are probably have shown to be the best in the league at doing that. I think Pittsburgh probably, you could say the same for Pittsburgh. How many times has Pittsburgh picked up, Matheson? I mean, he's not great, but he does all right. And I think their system really works for players. But they've done it over and over again there. Nashville is brought up, like, they just bring up defenseman after defenseman. You don't even see it coming. Carrier, and then LA. They seem to be the best. Yeah, I mean, they're phenomenal at developing defensemen. So if they think that they can do it, I think they probably could, and they may give Risto a shot. They may give Risto a shot. But I think LA would more likely not want to give up something to get him to do it. Because I don't think Risto is going to make them a better playoff team right now. They would probably wait for them to not qualify him and then give him a shot in the offseason. And maybe that can be the same for everybody else. I think that's likely what's going to happen. They're probably just going to say, no, like, we'll just wait for you to not qualify him. Because at the moment, who did I mention? Nashville. Is Nashville going to be that much of a better team with Risto? Probably not. So why would you give up prospects, especially for a team that isn't really swimming in prospects and I think realizes that they do have to get younger? I think they'll just sit and wait for Philadelphia to not qualify him. In which case, Philadelphia is going to be sitting there going, well, if we don't qualify and we gave up a first and we gave up this and we gave them that, we might as well make it work somehow. So in the end, I think they'll end up doing that. I just don't think there's a general manager out there that is going to look at a guy like Risto and think, okay, we're going to be better in the playoffs if we grab him now. Maybe if they can't get a deal worked out in the offseason, he is a restricted free agent. That might be an offseason move more than a trade deadline move. If Philadelphia can't work out a deal with him, he may go, they then still got his rights. And they can tell his agent, go find a deal you like somewhere and we'll try to work out a deal or whatever the case may be. But I think Philadelphia is almost bound to do something contractually with them after, investing, just for the fact that how it's going to look like to their fan base alone. If I'm the fan base there and I'm looking at this team that gave up that much for a guy and then just gives him up, that's hard to take. That's hard to take. So I think they'll end up they'll end up crossing their fingers and hoping that they got a guy there that can be what they wanted. The sad thing about it is he's no better than a guy like Myers, who they grabbed for Ellis, who, when they made the trade, had injury issues already, and he's been injured all year. So now you got to hope that whatever his injuries are, he can get better and come back. But they could have just had Meyer. Like they bumbled a lot in Philadelphia, a lot, for sure. But you know what, guys? I think I'm going to head out now because I got another stream to do tonight. It's been awesome. Thank you very much for coming in. Getting more and more people in here all the time. I'm enjoying this every day. I'll probably be coming in tomorrow to do this. Next week, next week, my wife is going to be here. So I think I'm going to be doing more evening stuff next week. Sanheim, yeah, there's another one. We can get into that as well. But that's my full 42 for today. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. Talk to you tomorrow. Okay, bye.